Hello, and thank you for joining us for the very first Oregon MESA Family Welcome. My name is Bianca Chalk-Camp, and I'm your host for this evening. I'm joined by our Executive Director, Dr. Tong Zhang, MESA alumna Leslie Rojas, who is currently an electrical engineering student at OSU, and MESA advisor Jess Ogden, who teaches math and science at Alder Creek Middle School. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Those of you who are new to MESA may be wondering, what exactly is MESA? Tong, can you give us a little bit more insight and tell us how Oregon MESA got started?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So MESA actually stands for Math, Engineering, Science Achievement. It's a program that's been around for 37 years. It's based at Portland State University, and really what we do is we work with students who are historically underrepresented in the STEM fields and get them excited about the STEM fields. So we work with teachers like awesome Jess here, and we do training around invention education, and then the students are doing really cool projects in their chapters. They utilize a lot of cool things that are kind of displayed here. And then we also do things like we have college trips, career trips, we have competitions that students are participating in, family engagement events, kind of like this one. Yeah, so it's a very kind of wraparound service, and so that's what the program is.
Right, thank you for that summary. Let's take a look at what a few of our students think about MESA.
MESA, it's a STEM after-school program.
It inspires you to build, to solve problems for people.
It's like an opportunity to understand like the engineering field. Like I never had that opportunity anywhere else.
We're all in here because we want to do this and we want to build things.
It gets really tough sometimes and you just want to give up, and when something just clicks in your head, it's like it feels amazing.
Our challenge, we had to do a prosthetic arm, and when I finished, it fully functioned, and I was so proud. And that's when I realized I wanted to be an engineer.
We are trying to push this back so the street can go up here and it can close easier because...
So you want to drill up here?
Yeah.
One of our tasks is going to be picking up random objects, going to one table, coming back and taking up another object.
Now, Leslie, you were one of the students featured in that video. Can you tell us a little about your time at MESA?
Yeah, I started MESA in 7th grade when a friend of mine invited me to stay after school, and I just remember walking in and not knowing what the word engineering meant. I only thought the only two pathways and careers to science were either scientist or doctor. I never imagined myself as an inventor or as an engineer. And coming in, I was just introduced to the world of problem solving, of invention education, and I was just taken aback. And I remember towards the end of the school year that we were tasked to build a prosthetic arm for someone in need of it. It sounds really high tech, but really it just means that I got the opportunity to work on the fundamentals of engineering and just learn how to problem solve, learn some circuitry, which you can see in the table, and just learn a lot of stuff that otherwise I would have not had the opportunity. And just going through that process, I remember sitting on my desk and the arm lighting up and thinking to myself, I'm going to be an engineer for the rest of my life. This is what I'm going to do. And ever since then, it's just been me trying to accomplish that dream. And when MESA was also very helpful in my transition to high school, because at that point, my high school also had a MESA chapter in it, and just being surrounded by a community of people who called you an inventor, who recognized you as an engineer, just was really exciting and really powerful for me. And one of the inventions that we started my freshman year of high school ended up being an award-winning invention that we later presented at MIT in Boston, which
Wow.
That's so cool. I would have never thought in my life I would have had that opportunity, and it's all thanks to MESA and just for putting that mindset and passion in me. And as you heard from my introduction, I am now studying electrical and computer engineering at Oregon State. So it's just been awesome.
Yes. And congratulations. That's a significant achievement. So, you talked a little bit about how MESA influenced your academic path from middle school into high school, and then now you're in college. Can you tell us a little bit more about like exactly what in MESA you learned that made you say, I'm going to study engineering?
Yeah, so throughout that whole process, we were doing college visits, and I just got to learn about the different colleges in Oregon and their different engineering programs, and I had the opportunity to just see all of that. And once that occurred, it was just very easy for me to choose electrical and computer engineering right off the bat. I knew that it was my passion and just knew that niche that I wanted to go into the medical field with machinery and electronics and things like that. And I think that would have been much harder for me if I hadn't had MESA to find that path along the way, or if I would have found it at all. So I think that it's just, MESA has been a great opportunity for me in finding my passion. And throughout all of that, I am a first generation student, so I'm the first one in my family to go to college. And I've never been walked through the application process of college. I didn't know what it was, what to do. And my MESA mentor also became one of the people who wrote my letters of recommendation, but also helped me throughout this application process that I've never been through. And just being surrounded by the MESA community just made that trust of being able to ask questions and to just want to solve all of these problems. And yeah, it was really easy for me to come in as a freshman in college and know that I wanted exactly what I want to do. And because of my passions and why I know what I want to do, it's been easier for me to just request to be on labs on campus and to have all of these resources. And it wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for MESA.
Wow, that's so great. It's great to hear that MESA has had such a positive impact on you. Jess and Tong, do you think that MESA has a similar impact on most of its students?
After hearing that answer, I certainly hope so. Absolutely, that was beautiful, thank you. And I think one of my favorite things about MESA is, like what you said, it's not this really narrow idea of what science and engineering is. It's really broad and it's super human-centered. And so I feel like no matter what experiences students come in with, they find a place for them. Like some students might be really interested in the designing or the coding or the building, or some students may really gravitate toward the interviews with clients, or improving the design based on that, or leading presentations. And students can really find a path that aligns to their unique talents and who they are, what their skill set is, and then rely on each other to find success in their projects. And I would say that something similar that all students report is that sense of community and that connection and that support, that no matter where a student shines with their skill set, they always report that they feel super connected to the MESA chapter.
Yeah, I would completely agree. I think the relationships from talking to all the different alumni echo exactly what Jess and Leslie have talked about. The relationships are really, really important, and it's the connection with the teachers, the connection with potential mentors, but it's also then just like exposure to the fields. Like so many, I mean, I was definitely in your shoes too. It's just like you only know about certain types of career paths, and then you start learning more about different kinds of fields and that exposure, and then being in the career trips and being able to go on campus to different events, that really I think makes a difference, and that's what a lot of students have told me over the years.
Great. Another question for you, Jess. What influenced your decision to become a MESA advisor?
The story that we just heard. I mean, MESA's whole mission is to give opportunities to students to build their skills in the STEM world, particularly students who don't see themselves represented by STEM professionals. And I just think, like, how could anyone pass that up? Like, I want to be part of this. And as a math and science teacher, I get to see on the daily my students' innate brilliance and capacity and curiosity. But within a classroom, I have constraints. I have to teach the standards. I have to assess proficiency. I have to reflect that with a grade. But in MESA, it's more like sky is the limit. And I had heard, before I started my chapter, I had heard about the prosthetic arm, and that, like you said, it wasn't like there was a manual or people had to know how to do it. It was learning through the process, step by step, and figuring it out. And I just think that's just amazing to give people that opportunity. And in my chapter, I just get to see students tinkering and wondering and using those skills to serve humanity, to serve humans that we exist with in our community. And it's just such a beautiful thing. And through my time with MESA, I feel like the program, you all really understand what it's like to be a teacher, the stress and the requirements and the contingencies and always doing more with less. And to be part of a program who sees that and then is willing to step up and give me what I need so I can provide opportunities for my students is just super fulfilling.
Thanks. What does a MESA chapter meeting look like? Any of you can answer, if you'd like.
Sure. Well, we always start the year, or the chapter meeting. Mm-hmm. In the year, we start by learning about human-centered design and how to really listen to others and to understand the unique needs of another person. We learn how to prototype, to do rapid prototypes, to build small devices, to build skills.
So they start out maybe looking like this a little bit.
Yeah, but starting like that, it really breaks down that fear, that barrier of knowing or doing things, right? You know, we get to tinker and we get to experiment. And then simultaneously, students learn coding skills through Microbit, an online platform, making small devices. And then students gradually work to build a device, like you were speaking about, that would fulfill the need of their client. And yeah, I just see students over the course of the year just really opening up and being free from the pressure of knowing and learning how to fail forward, how to take what doesn't work and use that to find something that might work next time.
Right, right. And that leads to my next question about the types of projects and inventions students make. You know, you mentioned the prosthetic arm that you made, and there have been many different projects that our students have come across. Do you have any other significant examples that you can think of that really kind of stood out? And
yeah, I think I'll share two of our examples from last year. So last year, our theme for the year was we always, because it's very human-centered, we always have a theme that is relevant to people in our community. And so last year it was from harvest to table. And so we had two examples of our state winners. So one of them actually was from Park Rose High School, and they created actually a mobile locker to be able to make it easier for students who were experiencing food insecurity to be able to access food. And it was just such an incredible example of being able to understand a need in their local community. And so that was a very cool, it was a rather large device that they created. The other example is our middle school chapter actually then created a device that was helping farmers, so be able to keep the food and carry it with them while they were doing the tasks that they needed to. So those were just two really creative ways to address one theme that the students came up with last year. I'm sure there's a lot of other examples that you guys came up with over the years, but those are some cool ones from last year.
Great. Yeah, and to add a little bit about that, since it's so human-centered, that's one of the reasons why I want to combine electrical and computer engineering with the medical field to help others. Specifically with ours, when my senior year, we had the task to build something for the elderly community and the older citizens, and that's how we came up with the adaptive cup for individuals with dysphagia or individuals who have trouble swallowing, and that's ultimately the invention that ended up winning a lot of prizes. And if it wasn't for those tasks and just being able to think about others and sympathize and just be able to be in the mindset of a client, I just think I would have had, I don't know, it's just I loved it so much, and I love that iteration process through it.
Mm-hmm. I want to take a little bit of a departure. So we are hosting this as our family welcome night, and our families at MESA get very involved. So can you tell us a little bit more about family involvement in MESA and what that looks like?
Yeah, so well, actually just right before we started, Leslie was saying that your brother is now participating in MESA, and I think a lot of times that is what we experience with the students and the families that we work with, is that it's a very multi-generational aspect. So we have events like family nights. So this is a virtual event, but we actually have in-person family nights, and we're going to be doing those in person again this upcoming year. We also have demo days, which is a really big showcase event that happens in the spring, and that's when the students actually get to showcase their projects, kind of like their progress so far, to the families and to the broader community. And what I always hear from parents at that event is they just have no idea. They didn't realize. They were like, oh yeah, I was sending my students to this like after school program, and then they realize all the progress that the students have done this year, and it's just such a moment of pride that I've seen in a lot of parents, and I think that that's really important because then it just also encourages the students to keep doing what they're doing. So that's a really great event. And then we also do have parents who are involved in the program as volunteers. We actually had one parent end up volunteering at a chapter, and then he ended up wanting to go into teaching, and so now he's actually getting his teacher certification. So it's just really about this ecosystem that we have, that we work alongside parents as much as possible to be able to support their students.
Great. Yeah, and to add a little bit onto that, like you said, I really relate to that of just presenting my invention and seeing my parents in the crowd and just seeing them see what I've been working on. And just to speak to the parents in the audience, if you're able to let your students stay after school that 1 hour, 2 hours a week, please do so. This program has really made an impact, and if it wasn't for MESA, again, it's just a really powerful program that's really helping students out there. And yeah, my parents, although they did not know what was going on maybe the whole time, I always felt a sense of pride showing them my project and presenting to them what I've been doing.
That's great. Thank you. How do students join MESA?
I'm curious, how did you find out about MESA?
I found out about MESA through a friend. I didn't know what engineering was, and I did see the posters around my middle school, and my friend said, oh yeah, there's this really cool club that I like to be a part of, and I got hooked on the first day and never looked back.
Okay. And what happens if a student wants to join MESA, but there's not a MESA chapter or club at their school?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So right now we actually are still open to new schools joining MESA. So a student has to find an awesome teacher like Jess at their school, and if they're willing to take on the chapter, they can just contact us, and the email address I think is available in the different links, but it's ormesa, MESA, at pdx.edu.
Yes.
Yeah, so if they can email us with their interests, that's the first step.
Yes. And if you're a student at home, that is very much true. We had actually one of our students who joined us in middle school went to high school last year, the year before.
A couple years ago.
And they did not have a MESA chapter at the high school, but that student took it upon themselves to actually go in, find a teacher who could be the MESA advisor, and they got that chapter started, which was great, great to see. Tong, what sort of things can students look forward to this year?
Well, there's lots of exciting things. Like I mentioned earlier, there was all of the in-person events that students can look forward to this year. So our family night's going to be in person. We also have the career visits. Those are going to be happening in person regionally. So if students have interest in different kinds of industries, please let your advisors know. We'll be able to work with them to try to get students going into company sites. But we also do still have some virtual career opportunities as well, so that we can be able to showcase different paths through the entire state, because we actually have programs now in Clackamas County, Multnomah County, Washington County, Marion County, Lane County, and Klamath County. So I think that those are all of our programs. And I think that if they join their program, they'll also find out about the theme this year. I'm not going to spoil it, so they're going to have to find out from their teachers. I'm going to also mention that this year we did get confirmation that the national competition is back in person. So if students end up participating in the competition side, students don't have to do the competition because there's always a showcase. Like the most important thing is that students get to do the experience. It's not about the competition, but if they are choosing to do the competition, we have our national competition, which is going to be in New Mexico, which is the land of enchantment. And they get an all, that's what I learned fact-wise, and they get an all expenses paid trip for the top middle school team and the top high school team. So those are some things to look forward to.
Okay, great. Let's see. So we can take some questions from our audience on YouTube. If you have a question, please drop it in the chat now, but I'm going to move on to our next question to give them some time. Before we leave, is there anything else you all wanted to share with the audience that we haven't covered? Actually, yeah.
Should I share
Go ahead.
So, if students participate in MESA this year, they'll get to look forward to getting an amazing bag like this. And this is something just, if it is your first time participating in MESA, we like to give goodies during all of our different events, especially like Demo Day, MESA Day. Inside, you'll get, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get spilled on. But we get great things from our sponsors. So Intel's a really involved sponsor of ours. They get t-shirts. The t-shirt is a big draw. This was the one from last year, so you're gonna have to look forward to what it is going to be this upcoming year. And there are things like pencil pack. I'm gonna make a mess. So
yeah, there's a lot in that bag. I think we have,
there's a Frisbee.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I'll let you go. There's
Frisbee, some
from
snacks.
Vintage Tech. Okay.
I will say this is one of my students' favorite things. Looking forward to the MESA swag, the MESA snacks. Yeah, MESA provides.
Okay. So I don't see any questions in the chat. So I think that we can probably, wrap it up.
Yeah, sure.
If you'd like to learn a little bit more about MESA, visit our website at oregonmesa.org or email us at ormesa@pdx.edu. Follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and you can find those links in the description below. Take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we'll post regular updates and MESA content. You can also fill out our survey at the end of the session to be entered to win this MESA backpack or one of 20 $15 Grubhub gift cards. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Thank you for our guest speakers. Thank you for joining us at home.